Welcome back. 9:14 is your time, and the Delta variant has had a major impact on every aspect of our lives, including consumer spending. Some industries are taking quite a hit while others are still thriving. And experts say COVID will make a difference in retail shopping this holiday season. Joining us now is economist Ben Kaplan, the CEO of Top Data. Good morning to you, Ben.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on the program.
Yes, indeed. I think it's really interesting. You've been tracking consumer spending not just by cash register receipts, so to speak, but also by cell phone data and foot traffic. Explain how that works.
Sure. It's really interesting. Actually, most cell phone providers, you can get aggregate data of where people are going. So we don't know where you're specifically going, but we do know where groups of people are going. And what we've really found is that it's an interesting Delta variant effect all over the country, specifically in Georgia. What that means in sort of the retail sector, the service sector, it's down about 5% overall in foot traffic. So people are, because of the Delta variant, reducing their frequency of certain places and certain venues. Hardest hit are places like beauty salons, gyms, large-scale sporting events. But people are starting to learn how to navigate the pandemic, navigate the Delta variant. So there's other places they are willing to go. So overall, retail doing better, weathering the storm. Service sector not quite as well, but doing okay. But basically, people are willing to go places where they have control over their setting, their situation. They're pulling back in places where it's prolonged one-on-one contact and not as much control.
I read where you mentioned that really comes down to consumer perception. I mean, because some of these activities, a lot of these activities are enclosed, right? Movie theaters, you say, not doing so well, but restaurants, folks still feel comfortable going out and eating. So what does that mean when you talk about the difference in terms of consumer perception?
Sure. The way consumers are perceiving their experience, the in-person, face-to-face economy now, is economists call it elasticity. So what this means is typically we think about price elasticity, meaning if the price changes, how will consumers' buying habits change? Right now, there's something new called pandemic elasticity. Certain types of industries, certain types of retail stores are highly elastic, meaning if there's a big spike, people don't go. And it's largely places where there's the perception of, I don't control my own situation. Versus other types of industries or other types of retail stores, there's not a lot of elasticity. It's inelastic, meaning people will not be affected by the pandemic. So one sector really doing well now, luxury goods. A lot of those stores are having more controlled environments. They're letting limited numbers of people in at the same time. There's higher consumer confidence. So what's going to happen for the holiday season is you're going to have some industries hugely affected, others not as much. And it's this notion of pandemic elasticity.
In-store traffic is doing better in the Northeast and Western states, according to your data. Why is that?
Well, the vaccination rates are playing a role. You're seeing in places with higher vaccination rates, so that's more of the Northeast, that's more of the West Coast, less so in places like Georgia or the South. There's generally more of a willingness, there's more of a recovery from the Delta variant. But that's also mitigated. It's not universally true because there's also high vaccine areas or high mask wearing areas or high sort of state mandated areas where people are just naturally cautious. So they'll be vaccinated, but if they see a spike, they now know that you can still catch COVID. They won't go out as much. So we're seeing lots of regional variations. I mean, I think one thing that's going to be really interesting moving into the holiday season is what is going to be the effect of extended or non-extended hours in stores, because there's also a supply chain and a labor effect here as well, which is that a lot of companies have found it difficult in retail stores to hire enough workers. Right. It's been okay in the current environment. Why? Because even though store hours are maybe not as expanded as before, people are adapting their schedules. But the holiday season is coming up. It might be difficult for many of these stores to staff workers, enough workers for these extended hours that people are used to. Will that affect sales? So that's the big question, is how is that impact going to be on retailers? And specifically, it's not only the pandemic, but it's also supply chain issues. So one more prediction for the holiday season is that a lot of consumer electronics purchases are going to be highly affected. They're just not going to be available, or they'll be at higher prices, whereas other sectors like clothing or apparel, luxury goods, will probably have a lot of availability. So this may be a holiday season a little bit away from, you're not buying the TV, you're not buying quite as much computers, certainly not a car quite as easily, right. But you might be fine in other sectors.
All right. Ben Kaplan, very interesting analysis there. Thank you so much for your insight.
Great. Thanks for having me.
For more tips and resources, head to fox5atlanta.com and click on the viewer information story.